Good afternoon, Miss Fonya Spielman. We are sisters in statement necklaces. I was looking at yours and I'm like, it will definitely go with my outfit. Cannot believe I actually changed my necklace just to go there because I think, we have that kind of spirit. So it kind of like goes together. So, it's amazing when you connect. You never know, like across the board, you connect with women and the simplest thing that you can have in common that can make such a strong connection, right? It's not always business. It can be, for us, necklace. We share that in common. We're able to, share stories on that. So thank you very much for, accepting the challenge and of course showing up as well, because it's not just about raising your hand, but it's just like really putting your hand up there and at the same time taking the action step to show up. So I appreciate you being here today. So I want you to just let the audience know a little bit about yourself. What are some things that you're passionate about? What is it you're currently doing?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me and putting this
Absolute pleasure.
opportunity up there. So right now, currently, I am self-employed as
Yeah.
an entrepreneur. It was a side job that has since turned into my full-time job.
Awesome.
And I create seasonal decor and gifts using repurposed and upcycled items.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
and so really trying to keep stuff out of the landfills. I feel like we've become such a disposable society
Yes.
that I really want to kind of bring us back to the value of handmade, handcrafted um, items that we can use in our everyday to add beauty and, or to those things around us and add functionality. So that is what I am currently doing. By trade, I am an instructional designer and I build e-learning courses. And that kind of goes hand in hand with what I'm doing now because I have a huge love of learning. I love to learn new things. I like
Yes,
to
I saw
teach.
that. I saw that on your
Yeah.
profile. I was like, oh my, a love of learning. I need to know more about that. So that's amazing.
And not just that, but teaching other people how to do things. And so if I can find those things that make it a little bit easier to learn, a little bit easier to absorb, or make your job easier
Yeah.
and more fun to do, then I want to do that. And I think the passion for that comes from having multiple learning disabilities that didn't get diagnosed until I
Yeah.
was an adult,
Yeah.
which I think had earlier in my life that they've been identified, it would have made life a lot easier. But I wouldn't have had the experiences I had had in the meantime. So
I was just about to say that, as I saw someone said, make your mess your success, right? And not to say that having a
ooh,
learning disability is a mess, but sometimes, because we it would have been great to have that diagnosed at an earlier age to be able to get the help that you need, but at the same time, because you weren't able to get it, that help, you're now able to turn those lessons that you would have learned into a success story of being able to teach other persons, or help someone along. And I think that's also amazing to know that sometimes we have to remind ourselves, like, not because we may have struggled before or gone through certain things, that we cannot find a way to help another person not go through those struggles. I think it's like super important as human beings and as women that we find ways within our lives that we can empower and inspire each other to be able to, show up as confidently as we can. And I know confidence is something that not all of us were born with. I know personally myself, I don't think I'm the most confident person. I think I'm such an introvert, but I get into certain spaces and certain rooms and I'm like, okay, who is this woman? Where did you get this voice from? Where did you get this level of confidence from? And I think it's just a learned behavior. I had to like train myself, to do it. There are times that I'm not able to show up as confidently as I want to all the time. Hence the reason why I got into fashion, because it kind of helps me, to have persons approach me and have the conversation and have that commonality of, pinpointing something. Going through your process, going through your life, and especially having, a stage where you had this learning disability and it wasn't diagnosed, and now you're moving into adulthood. How did you, find you, because we don't take learning disabilities seriously sometimes, especially yesteryear. I'm not going to say the years, but way back then it wasn't something that people really focused on, right? But so how did you build your confidence to show up? I mean, you're now currently pursuing your own goals. How did you, as a woman, well, I don't want to say as a woman, but as a person, that you were able to get the confidence to do the things that you wanted to do and not have your disability put you at a disadvantage?
That's a really good question. I would definitely say it was a result of the people I surrounded myself with.
Yeah.
Those people that can see something in you that you don't necessarily see yourself.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes we're too close.
Yes.
And to have somebody say, you can do this, I believe in you. And you kind of, I don't want to take it for granted, but you kind of expect it from your parents, and you expect it from those people that, love you the most. You're so great. You're wonderful. You deserve a trophy for everything. To have the people that you don't expect it from. And in my case, it was a professor who saw that I was struggling and said, I think something's not right here.
Yeah.
And to have her kind of take me by the hand and go, okay. And, at this point, I'm 38 years old, 39 years old, when this happened. And she, kind of took me under her wing and said, there's something here.
Yeah.
And excuse me. So she was able to kind of take that out of me. And then to have those people, my husband, my really close group of girlfriends, to say, yeah, you can totally do this. We're cheering you on. And to have them, and it shows up in different ways. It shows up in, you need to study, and they're all going to go out to dinner or have a good time or whatever. And they're like, you know what? You need to stay home and study. Yeah. We'd love to have you with us, but no, you need to do that. And that's their way of showing up and supporting you. And at the time, it feels a little bit like a punishment, but it's not.
I did. Yeah.
So, and then those little things that happen, like never in my life, right? Honor roll. And then after getting diagnosed with the disabilities, receiving accommodations, which I might add, a lot of people have a misconception that having the learning disability and receiving accommodations gives you an advantage. It doesn't. It just levels the playing field.
Yeah.
And it makes it more, it makes it more available to absorb the information.
Yeah. I think that's true to what we're talking about today. Just having a community of women rallying around you and saying, hey, you can do it, right? And regardless of, whether or not you are struggling with a learning disability, or you're trying to move up in the corporate ladder, or you're just trying to find your place and find your voice, just having a community of women behind you that's saying, hey, you can do this. You can do this. I think it gives you the belief that you need, and it empowers you. I know we use that word a lot, but it definitely gives you a level of, yeah, if everybody here is believing in me, then I need to believe in myself as well and show up. But then there are those women who don't have that support system, may not have that support system, or may not feel, even though they may have the support system, but don't have the confidence or haven't developed that muscle as yet to really step out into their own. What advice would you give to those women?
Ooh. So confidence is still something I struggle with. I struggle with it on a daily basis. And back to your point that you said earlier, you get into rooms, sometimes you're like, who is this woman? Who is this person, right? What's that? There's a statistic that most people would rather, like plan their own funeral or something than do public speaking. And yet I keep finding myself in these roles of being able to stand in front of groups and share my story. And I'm like, I am not a public speaker. I am not the girl who wants to be, much like you, I'm an introvert. I like to be behind the scenes. I like to be cheering on people from behind.
We're changing that. No, that's the whole purpose of these conversations, is to women like ourselves who are, always in the more comfortable in the background, doing the behind the scenes work, to come up to the mic, to come up to the stage, and to really, speak, because we don't know our own potential until we really put ourselves out there, right, and get out of our comfort zone. So yeah,
Absolutely.
that's
So when you asked me about advice,
yeah,
uh, I would say start with a small goal. And so for me, it was going back to school as an adult, and in fact, an older adult, um, and just taking one class. It
yeah,
was my goal was, let me just take this one class and see if I can pass it. And I didn't just pass it, I got an A. And then it was, well, let me enroll in one semester of junior college, right? I started at the junior college level. Let me just enroll in one semester of junior college. And then it led to, well, let me just see if I can get
do
my
it.
AA,
Yeah.
and it, and then it was, well, let me just see if I can get into university. I don't know what I'm going to do when I get there. Let me just see if I can get in. And I got in, and then it was like, oh crap, now what? Like, what do I want to do when I'm a grown up? Um, and I just kept leading to those types of things, to where I actually graduated with my master's in 2016
Oh
in leadership and
wow.
organizational development. And I mean, and that all started from just one class.
Yep.
So I would say set small goals for yourself, set small achievable goals. There's a part of me that also deals with depression. And there are days where I can't get up. I can't
Oh, tell me about
get
those
up.
days. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it's like, okay, today I'm going to shower. Like that's my win for today. Right.
Yep.
And if I can do that, then tomorrow I'm going to shower and make dinner.
Yep.
And it's just this whole, small steps to where you start to look at, I can do this. I can do this. And so I would say start small, set small goals for yourself.
Oh, I mean, that's great advice. And that's something that I've told myself, like my mantra for 2020, and it's something that I constantly repeat to myself is action is the antidote to fear. So every time I feel like, I'm fearful of doing something, I have to, ask myself, okay, what action steps can I take today? And if it's just one, if it's just, if let's say, for instance, I want to like do this, have these conversations with women, if I'm only able to have one conversation, that's okay, right? The point that the focus should be the fact that I took the action. And I think that's where we need to encourage more women to understand that you don't have to do everything. You don't have to get it all mapped out. You don't have to accomplish every single thing in one go, but just start with one. First of all, have a goal in mind, because, there's an end. We need to know where we're going. Like, okay, I want to improve my life. How do I want to improve my life? What are some areas do I want to improve my life in? Okay, so I don't have a college degree, and that's something that I've always wanted to do, but I'm not sure I can do it. I'm going in, I'm an adult now, but I'm not sure if that I can do it. Instead of saying, oh, well, but, I'm older now, the classes. No, as you said, start with one small goal. You want to get a college degree? One course, then one semester, then, just take it step by step, and eventually that success will come. And I think that's like such an important message to share with, not just women of this generation, but women that's coming up behind us, just to understand that you don't have to, because there's this pressure sometimes that we put on ourselves that we need to get everything done and do it perfectly, when it's all that you need to do is to start. Right? You need to
Yes.
take that first step, and then of course develop the habit to get it done. So thank you very much for that. That really connected with me, because I know that's
Oh,
something
good.
that I struggled with as well, and I had to work towards. So one of the things that I've also thought about when we think about women making an impact and women changing the world is the perception of power. Women having power and women feeling powerful. Is that sometimes there are few, women around the world that think that in order to be successful, in order to feel powerful, they have to trade, femininity for, success, and they have to trade style for success and power. You may love pink, but you figured, I'm working in a male dominated industry and I don't want to show up in pink because that may be, oh, they may deem that as too girly, that's perception. So we start to mirror our environment, and not necessarily in a way that's authentic to ourselves. Right. So my question to you is, how do you show up as your authentic self? And what is your definition of a woman feeling powerful, and how can she maintain her authentic self in, going through that process?
That is an excellent question. I will echo, I guess, what you just said. And my power is empathy.
Yeah.
And that shows up in feeling, the ability to feel what others are feeling, or to empathize what they're going through. I am a crier, and I am unapologetic about it. And I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm angry.
Oh.
And those are the worst. Those angry tears are the worst.
No, yeah, I can attest to that. I can attest to that. And I cry when I'm angry and when I feel powerless.
Yes.
That's when I cry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I would say, for me, power looks like being authentic and then passionate. I think it'd be a combination of those. So I feel, for me, feeling powerful is being able to connect with another human being on a real level.
Yes.
And not playing games, and not, I think for a lot of years in the spaces I was in, I was always trying to fit in. The example you just used about pink in a male dominated society, trying to be professional equals not crying in the middle of a staff meeting, and I'm like, but I can't help it. I feel really excited, or I feel really sad, or I feel really angry about whatever's happening. And, it's worse trying to stop it. It's worse trying to make it not be, or not honoring who you are.
Yep.
And, so for me, it's being real. If having power is being real, showing up how you are. In fact, I did an Instagram video a few months ago. I had some friends that had asked what a persimmon was. And growing up here in the Central California area, persimmons are everywhere. And I just assumed everybody knew what they were. And nobody really knew what they were. And so I did this video. I was trying to make these cookies that my mom had made for us when we were growing up at Christmas time. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to use, coconut flour, and it's going to come out great. And it's going to be so great. They did not come out at all. And I'm standing there on my Instagram video with these cookies that completely fell apart and just looked like garbage. And I'm still in my pajamas, and I'm like, okay, this is not turning out at all what it's supposed to be. And yet it was me on the screen, right? In this 2-minute video showing, hey, look here, I tried this thing and it did not work out. And then being able to do a do-over, right? That's the I think the most exciting part about the social media age is you get do-overs. You get, well, as long as you're not like offensive or,
Yes, of course.
I was like, okay, so I made some changes, and here are how the cookies are supposed to look. And this is, they're delicious, and go try it. I think it's just about being authentic and real.
I mean, and that is where you hit the nail on the head. Basically, it's that you get a chance to do over, and you learn from your mistakes, right? Because you took the action, you took that, stepped out of your comfort zone to share a part of you that maybe you would not have been comfortable sharing before. You would have sat down and thought about, what if I do this and it doesn't work out? Everybody will say, oh my gosh, she doesn't know how to, bake or something like that. And then you take on, all that negativity, and it's where, you know what, I'm going to do this.
Yes.
let's see what happens. And I think sometimes that's where we as women need to really step into that step out of our comfort zone and step into our purpose and say, hey, I don't know if this is going to work, but you know
Mhm.
what? I'm going to take a chance on myself. I'm going to take a chance on, what I believe in and what I really want to do and see what happens. If we put it together and it fall apart, then it's like, okay, why did it fall apart? What are some, how can I tweak the recipe to make it better? And I think that's like so important for us to really take that message in understanding that things are not always going to go according to plan. But the
Mhm.
most important thing, and this is the message that I want to convey all the time, is for, women to take action. It doesn't matter if you're not confident. It doesn't matter if you feel like, this particular situation may not be ideal for you, but you really want to be an entrepreneur, you really want to pursue this particular goal. It's to just take one step forward. One step forward. And it comes into,
Yes.
what I like to, when I work with my clients, it's like, you're not going to be, because everybody thinks that, okay, I'm going to learn personal style, I'm going to learn how to dress myself, and it's just going to happen. It's like, no, it takes practice. If it's a new muscle that you're working, you're not going to get it right off the bat. It just takes practice and getting the fundamentals to dressing properly and showing up as yourself. That's where I would lay the foundation with you, so that you can do the work, right? And you're able to go out in the world, because once you feel confident, once you look good, you feel more empowered, you feel more confident, and you're able to raise your hand, because it's with the action and to raise your hand that I'm empowering with, asking women to take that action. So when we talk about impact, because impact for all of us is different. It depends on, what's going on in our lives and what are some of the things that we want to do. When it comes to an impact, how do you see yourself going forward? Because we're in this space right now where, as a woman, you feel as though, okay, the light is now being, there's this what they call like stage light on us, beaming down, like, hey, if you want to do anything, envision yourself doing anything in the world, go for it. There is nothing standing in your way but you, so go for it. So how do you see yourself making an impact in the world going forward, and what advice would you give to women who are sitting on the sidelines waiting for the perfect moment so that they can step up to the plate and be able to make those impacts in their life that they're looking forward to?
I think really being open to opportunities, right? This is something I would have never done before. Um, and yet, oh, I have a story and I have experience with this, particular thing, right? And this example, having learning disabilities, um, and and also depression, right? Because a lot of people do struggle with that. Um, Maybe my story can help somebody else to take that first step. And so that, I feel like, is the impact that I bring to the table, is to be able to say, I have this. I also think that my superpower, right? Because we all have a superpower.
Yes, we
My
do.
mom used to always say, everybody's good at least one thing.
Yes.
And so my thing is, I have a large group of people that I know because I like to talk to people. And I can say, oh, Solita, I know somebody who will be perfect for your podcast. Let me reach out to her and see if she's interested, and then connect her with you. And I feel as though that is my superpower, is being able to connect those people to other people who can impact their lives or benefit from their story, experience, etc.
Yeah. I mean, that's
So I think the advice I would give to other women is find the one thing that you're good at, right? You and I apparently are very good at accessorizing. And so, we already have that
sure.
bond, that relationship. And so, if you want to mentor kids, start at the Boys and Girls Club. You don't necessarily have to be a teacher or a professor. If you want to make something, make something. Figure out, if you want to do a video on how persimmon cookies should be made and they don't turn out right, then you do it, and then you say, oh, this did not work out. And it's okay. Like, life is going to go on.
Exactly.
So I just think whatever it is, start. Just take that first step. And if it doesn't work, okay, now you know one way that it doesn't work. And now you can try something else.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think that's the most important thing. And I think that's something that I've learned along my journey as well, is to try. Okay, keep doing, because once you keep that muscle and exercising that muscle of doing, eventually you're going to get the recipe right. No one starts the race at the finish line.
Exactly.
We all, no matter how, if it's a 100-meter dash, if it's the marathon, it doesn't matter what race you're running, run your own race, but understand that each of us would have started at the start line. There is that line that the race says, go from there, and that's where we all start at. So I think that's just a message that, today's message and conversation that I think coming from this conversation is what women should get out of it, is to just start, and understanding and having that understanding that everything is not going to be perfect. Everything is not always going to work out. But the most important thing that we encourage you to do today is to make that decision to start. And once you make that decision to start, then everything else you will find may not go as easily and as smoothly, but you will develop that muscle to say, okay, so I've done this before. What else can I do? Right? What else?
Yes, absolutely.
And exactly. And you're able to now make different impacts in your life, because that's where it comes from as well. We do have the impact that we want to make in the world, but the impact that you're able to make on yourself and those around you. So I think that's like super important. So thank you very much, Fonya, for joining me on this conversation. I do appreciate you taking up the mantle and showing up and taking the action steps necessary to, share your story and, share it as authentically as possible, and at the same time being able to inspire women. So thank you very much. I do appreciate this. And it was so wonderful meeting you. I appreciate you being here.
Welcome. It was my joy to be here.
Yes, thank you.